I want you to get rolling.
Interesting facts about famous people.
Offbeat westerns. I had a thought today, to search for the best offbeat westerns. Why not, right? The criteria I would use is non-mainstream movies that probably didn't do well at the box office, but not a deal breaker. A story that doesn't use the typical western tropes. Not a spaghetti, comedy, sci-fi or horror theme. So still skating close to the typical western. IMDB threw up a selection of 20. I've cut that down to 12. I can think of many more, but I'm interested to see what movies you, my viewers, think would round out this subject. Let's take a look. Let me know what you think. If you enjoy this video, hit the notification button to get my new videos. If you want to check out my many other videos, head over to my channel. The link is in the description. Okay, let's get into it. The Culpeper Cattle Company, 1972. Director, Dick Richards. Young farm boy who always wanted to be a cowhand. Talks a tough trail boss into hiring him on a cattle drive. Directorial debut of Dick Richards. The theme melody by Jerry Goldsmith is the same as another film scored by Goldsmith, The Flim Flam Man, 1967. First producing credit by veteran producer Jerry Bruckheimer. There was a composer's strike at the time. Jerry Goldsmith's music was used as stock. Cast: Gary Grimes, Billy Greenbush, Luke Askew, Bo Hopkins. Vaquero, 1970. Director, Gordon Douglas. At a river crossing, a standoff between a gang of outlaws and local townsfolk ensues. When the ferry barge operator refuses to ferry the gang across the river, Robert Sparr was originally set to direct, but he was killed in a plane crash while scouting locations in Colorado. Gordon Douglas was hired to replace him. Three of the principal actors, Warren Oates, Mariette Hartley, and John Davis Chandler, also starred in Sam Peckinpah's Ride the High Country, 1962. Lee Van Cleef's first American-made movie since 1962's How the West Was Won, also his first starring role in one. Cast: Lee Van Cleef, Warren Oates, Forrest Tucker, Kerwin Matthews.
Looked at it, the river was going to run a little deeper, and a lot redder before this day was over.
Coogan's Bluff, 1968. Director, Don Siegel. Arizona Deputy Sheriff Coogan is sent to New York City to escort an escaped fugitive back for trial. When Coogan, Clint Eastwood, is searching the New York City nightclub, the large screen plays a scene from Tarantula, 1955. A B science fiction movie which was Eastwood's fourth movie. This movie was the inspiration for the television series McCloud, 1970, starring Dennis Weaver. Herman Miller had written the story for this movie and then later changed a few details to create McCloud. Cast: Clint Eastwood, Lee J. Cobb, Susan Clark, Tisha Sterling. The Missouri Breaks, 1976. Director, Arthur Penn. Tom Logan is a horse thief. Rancher David Braxton has horses and a daughter, worth stealing, but Braxton has just hired Lee Clayton, an infamous regulator, to hunt down the horse thieves, one at a time. Marlon Brando's performance in this film was mostly improvised. Director Arthur Penn eventually gave up on him and decided to just let him act whatever way he wanted. According to Robert Silver's Dustin Hoffman in Spurs, method actors show the Old West who's boss. The whole production was affected by Marlon Brando's bizarre behaviour, which allegedly included biting a frog and catching grasshoppers at the end of the day's shooting. Warren Oates and Harry Dean Stanton were originally touted to star in this movie, in the parts played by Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando. Cast: Marlon Brando, Jack Nicholson, Randy Quaid, Kathleen Lloyd. Hombre, 1967. Director, Martin Ritt. John Russell, disdained by his respectable fellow stagecoach passengers because he was raised by Native Americans, becomes their only hope for survival when they are set upon by outlaws. The favourite film of Sean Connery, who at the time was married to Diane Cilento. David Canary's film debut. Intense rainstorms made the shooting very difficult. Paul Newman, during that time, played tennis, got drunk, and engaged in bawdy conversations with Martin Balsam. Peter Laser's last film. Cast: Paul Newman, Frederick March, Richard Boone, Diane Cilento. The Long Riders, 1980. Director, Walter Hill. The origins, exploits, and the ultimate fate of the Jesse James gang is told in a sympathetic portrayal of the bank robbers made up of brothers who begin their legendary bank raids because of revenge. The roles of Jesse James and his son, Little Jesse, are played by father and son, James and Callan Keach. The film stars 4 sets of actual brothers, the Carradines, the Keaches, the Quaids, and the Guests. Edward Bunker, who plays Chadwell in the Northfield bank robbery, was actually, among many others, a convicted bank robber. Originally, Jeff Bridges and Beau Bridges were going to play the Ford brothers, but they could not fit it into their schedules. Cast: David Carradine, Stacy Keach, Dennis Quaid, Keith Carradine. The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, 1972. Director, John Huston. In Vigoroon, Texas, former outlaw Roy Bean appoints himself the judge for the region and dispenses his brand of justice as he sees fit. Although her image appears throughout the movie and her character is a prominent part of the town history, Ava Gardner does not appear in the film until approximately 15 minutes before it ends. This was one of Paul Newman's favourite roles. John Milius claimed his experience on this film prompted him to going into directing, out of self-defense and a desire to control. Cast: Paul Newman, Ava Gardner, Roy Jensen, Gary Combs.
Come on, Beano! Come on, Beanie! Come and get it! I'm ready for you, Beano!
Seven Men From Now, 1956. Director, Bud Botticher. A former sheriff blames himself for his wife's death during a Wells Fargo robbery and vows to track down and kill the 7 men responsible. John Wayne, a producer on the film, gave the female lead to Gail Russell, his co-star from Angel and the Bad Man, 1947, and Wake of the Red Witch, 1948, despite being warned that she looked 20 years too old to play a character in her mid-20s. Russell had not made a film in 5 years and had a serious drinking problem, which would later end her life at age 36. This film was the beginning of a collaboration between Randolph Scott and the director, Bud Botticher, and revived Scott's career. They made 6 more films together until 1960. Scott himself credited the film with reviving his dead career. Cast: Randolph Scott, Gail Russell, Lee Marvin, Walter Reed. Bad Company, 1972. Director, Robert Benton. A God-fearing Ohio boy dodging the Civil War draft arrives in St. Joseph, where he joins up with a hardscrabble group of like runaways heading west. According to Jeff Bridges, the gunfight in the forest had to be completely reshot after the film was ruined in the lab. 26 years after this movie was released, Jeff Bridges, Jake Rumsey, and David Huddleston, Big Joe, appeared together again as the Dude and Big Lebowski. In 1976, Jeff Bridges and Ed Lauter would reunite in Dino De Laurentiis' film King Kong, 1976. Cast: Jeff Bridges, Barry Brown, Jim Davis, David Huddleston.
Dead broke, you talk awful big.
I should have plugged you back there.
You're so full of shit, you're stinking up my yard.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
All right, you get.
Well, thank you. We're all set, Marshal.
Good luck, boy.
The Ballad of Cable Hogue, 1970. Director, Sam Peckinpah. A hobo accidentally stumbles onto a water spring and creates a profitable way station in the middle of the desert. Production on the film fell weeks behind schedule due to bad weather. When filming was suspended, director Sam Peckinpah, along with the cast and crew, would drink. When filming finally wrapped, the bar bill came to over $70,000, equivalent to over $500,000 today. This was the favourite film of the director. Often, when asked to speak about his work, he brought a print of this film to show, instead of one of his more famous works. Only credit for actor Slim Pickens' brother, Easy Pickens. Cast: Jason Robards, Stella Stevens, David Warner, Strother Martin. Buffalo Bill and the Indians, or Sitting Bull's History Lesson, 1976. Director, Robert Altman. A cynical Buffalo Bill hires Sitting Bull to exploit him and add his credibility to the distorted view of history presented in his Wild West show. Paul Newman has claimed this to be one of his favourite films of his own. The others include The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean, 1972, and Slapshot, 1977. The film was entered into competition at the 26th Berlin International Film Festival in 1976 and won the top prize, the festival's Golden Bear. However, Robert Altman declined the award in protest over the recutting of the film at the hands of the executive producer Dino De Laurentiis. Cast: Paul Newman, Joel Grey, Kevin McCarthy, Harvey Keitel. Flaming Star, 1960. Director, Don Siegel. When fighting breaks out between two cultures in West Texas, the mixed-blood Pacer tries to act as a peacemaker, but the flaming star of death pulls him irrevocably into the deadly violence. Elvis Presley was inducted into the Los Angeles Indian Tribal Council by Native American Wani Ota after portraying the son of an Indian and a white settler in this film. Andy Warhol's famous diptych of Elvis Presley as a cowboy came from a shot in this movie. In the beginning, Angus Pearce, Richard Jekyll, has no partner with which to dance, so he grabs a wooden chair. The warden said, "Hey buddy, don't you be no square. If you can't find a partner, use a wooden chair." This line is from the title song of Elvis Presley's film, Jailhouse Rock, 1957. Cast: Elvis Presley, Barbara Eden, Steve Forrest, Dolores Del Rio.
Get out of the way. She was worth 1,000 of them and they let her die.
Oh, you'll be all right.
When I was fighting off the other car was...
I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate your likes and subscribers. Hit the notification button to get my new videos. Take a look at my channel and check out my Facebook page. The links are in the description. I am Wrangler. Bye for now. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.